It's about 3 a.m. Right outside of the Grand Canyon. Getting ready to hike in to the Bright Angel Trail. It's supposed to get up to 115 in the trail today, which is really freaking hot. But I got everything packed up. I'm ready to go. So I'm ready to tackle this thing and just get her done with and conquer that shit, you know? But it is early as hell, so I'm gonna get up and get a move on so I can be on the trail at 4 o'clock. Alright, so it's about 5 o'clock. The sun should be rising pretty soon. You can actually see it coming over the north rim over there. So far, so good. Still making my way down the switchbacks. Yeah, it's definitely a really nice trail. Super high impact on my joints going down, but I know that coming up is going to be twice as hard and take twice as long. So I'm just trying to move at a nice steady pace so that doesn't so I don't tire myself out and I'm actually able to make the hike back up. I'd say next time that I hike this, I will definitely bring some hiking poles to reduce the impact. I have this hiking stick, but the hiking poles would help a lot more with that. And actually there's the sun rising up now, so you can see that. Super cool. Alrighty, I'm gonna get back to it. Alright, so about 1.5 miles in, coming up on the first rest stop. I'm gonna refill my waters and see if the restrooms are working, and then get started again. So, almost done with the switchbacks. Looks like I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4 left. So it shouldn't be that long until I'm at the base, hiking towards Indian Gardens. So far, it's been an amazing hike. Really beautiful sunrise. The early morning part was a little chilly and buggy out. A lot of moths coming towards my headlamp, but that's all right. I'm in their space. Anyway, about an hour and a half into the hike, so I'm making pretty good time. If I'm already at the bottom of the switchbacks, it should take me about 25 more minutes to get done with the switchbacks. So I should be heading up and beating the heat for today, which would be really nice, but I'm not going to make any definitive plans about it. Coming up on the second rest area, 3.5 mile stop. I'm gonna refill my water. Alright, so correction. I am not done with the switchbacks. I'm close, but not as close as I thought. The ridge I was on was covering this whole section right here. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's at least 15 more turns that I gotta take. 15 more switchbacks till I'm at the path to Indian Gardens. But still making pretty good time. The sun hasn't actually crusted over that ridge over there, which means that the heat won't start to kick in for another at least hour or two till that sun comes over. So yeah, I should be done with the switchbacks by the time the sun pulls up and starts beating that heat down on us. Meeting some pretty cool people. Met a couple people that hiked rim to rim. I'm really thinking about doing that in the next few years with some friends. Bringing some people out here. like a small group of like 5, and doing a long rim to rim hike, spending about 3 or 4 days in the actual canyon, exploring it and doing all that. But anyway, that's my 4-mile check-in. All right, so stopping here to get some water, fuel up on some nuts and shit. Finally done with the switchback portion. That was the last one right behind me. So now I've just got this long downhill hike into right over there, which is where Indian Gardens is. So there's a creek there. I can fill up some water. It's some nice shade, stay out of the sun during the hotter hours. And then I'll start hiking back up. So finally made it down to Indian Gardens. Just had myself some trail mix and Cheez-Its to replenish the salt in my body, help those electrolytes recover. But super cool part is this awesome creek that's flowing through the entire garden. Nice cold fresh water. Before I start my hike out to Plateau Point, which is completely flat with no shade, and the sun has unfortunately crested over that ridge, so it is starting to get a little hotter out here. But I just cooled off in the creek, so should be good. It's only 1.5 miles out there, so 3 miles round trip back to the creek, no problem. All right, so I'm on the path to Plateau Point. As you can see, I'm about to hit the sun. It's about to get really hot, but I still got the creek right there if I need to cool off. And I drenched this buff that I have in creek water, so that's keeping me warm. Super excited though, and there it is. There's that sun beating down on me. Super excited for Plateau Point though, because it's a way that I can see the Colorado River without actually having to hike all the way down to the Colorado, which is not recommended this time of year because it's a 6-mile hike down and a 6-mile hike back, so it's 12 miles altogether. And during this heat, that can be pretty brutal. So hiking out to Plateau Point, just 1.5 miles in the heat, 1.5 miles back, 3 miles altogether. Shouldn't be too bad, and still get to see the Colorado River. So we're about a 1/2 mile out from the point, and as you can see, this place is just beautiful. I mean, there's just cliffs and ridges all around, plateaus, cactuses, or cacti, whatever you want to call them. Just amazing. Saw a baby elk earlier, so really fantastic hike. Starting to get pretty hot. About to pull off and put on some sunscreen, replenish some water. I pulled a 127 hours and left my Gatorade in the car, but at least I know it's waiting for me when I get back. As long as I don't fall down some sort of crack in the ground and get caught under a boulder, I should be good. So after a long hike, a lot of elevation covered, sun came up, started beating down heat. Finally made it out to Plateau Point. Got the Colorado River to look at here. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So just started hiking back from Plateau Point. I think this is probably going to be the worst heat part of the hike because I'm literally sitting in the only shaded part on the entire trail until it gets back to Indian Gardens. And it is getting very hot out here for sure. But when I get back to Indian Gardens, I'm going to soak this again in the creek, refill my waters, take a little food break, and then I got to do the upwards hike back up to the trailhead, which is going to be brutal in its own way because of the elevation and the heat, but there's some more spots to stop for shade on that route than there is on this one. I'm gonna rest up here for a minute and then get back to it. All right, so after taking a little break at the Indian Gardens again, fueling up, getting some water, refilling water and all that, dipping my head in the creek, started up the hike back through the trailhead, which is all the way up and around there. So a lot of ground to cover, super easy going down. Going up is a whole different story. It's no joke. It is hot. The elevation is really rough. And it doesn't help that every step there's a rock that digs into my heel or into my toe. But we're gonna finish strong and get this done. Woo! So update, I'm about quarter of the way up the switchbacks, but I'm officially out of the flatland down there, so I'm starting to make some real strides and getting through this elevation. The hike up is it's almost like an entirely different hike than the one down. The one down was even when the sun was on me, I mean, it was a nice, easy going hike. Hike up, brutal. It's hot. Elevation is insane. I mean, this is what I'm hiking up, and it goes all the way up, just like that, no breaks. So, staying hydrated, stretching, getting some rest every now and then. I'm gonna get it done. Unreal. So, about to come up on the 1.5 mile mark. It's been a brutal hike uphill, but it's all been worth it. Because at the top of that hill, I got a bottle of Gatorade waiting for me. Woo! Just got done with the 12-mile hike from Bright Angel Trail, Grand Canyon, out to Plateau Point. Beautiful hike. The way down was really nice. It was still nice and cold out when I entered the canyon at 4 a.m. And just the whole hike down to Plateau Point was amazing. And then seeing the Colorado River and just being down in the canyon gives you a lot of perspective on how massive it actually is, and how beautiful it is. And just being down there kind of inspired me to come back in a few years and hike rim to rim. I wanna see the entirety of the canyon and spend a good 6 days, maybe even a full week, hiking through the canyon, hopping off trail, checking out Clearwater Creek, these little places that not a lot of people know about because they don't go into the canyon. They just drive up here and they look at it and they Clark Griswold it, there it is, and then they leave. But I'm really glad that I got to experience the hike the way back from Plateau Point, going back up 4,328 feet of elevation, 5.5 miles, I think, 5.5 miles, and 4,000 plus feet of elevation. And right as the sun was coming up over the ridge and beating down on the trail, it was brutal. It was absolutely the hardest hike I've ever been on in a long, and yeah, my whole life. I've never done a hike that was harder than that. But I did it, and I persevered, and I'm just beyond proud of myself for completing it and accomplishing this goal that I set for myself over a year and a half ago. I told myself that I would hike the Bright Angel Trail in the Grand Canyon, and today I did it. And it just feels just such a feeling of accomplishment coming up out of that last switchback, seeing the trailhead again, seeing those people that are just entering the trail. They don't know what's ahead of them. It was a surreal experience to hike in and hike out of the canyon. All in all, probably the best and worst hike I've ever been on. It was just so brutal coming back. I can't even describe it. My feet are just killing me. I drank a lot of water and was replenishing the sodium levels in my body, but I am still definitely a little dehydrated. Like I said before, I pulled a 127 hours. I left my Gatorade in the car, but it's actually something that I think I'm going to start doing when I go on these hikes, these long ones, is leaving some like a Gatorade in the car, so that even at the lowest point, when I feel like I just can't keep going and I don't know how I'm going to push through, it gave me something to look forward to. Like, I knew there was an ice cold Gatorade waiting for me, and I mean, like, the first sip I took of it was probably the best drink I've ever had. I was so happy after drinking just a sip of it, and now I'm kind of savoring it, but yeah, just all in all, just a surreal, a wonderful experience. If you have the capability to go out and hike into the canyon, because seeing it is one thing. Seeing the view from the rim and hiking the rim trail, which I did yesterday, it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's spectacular to look at. But if you don't hike into the canyon itself, you're missing out on just an amazing, life-changing experience. I have such an appreciation for that place and for nature in general now, because it almost kicked my ass. I wouldn't say I beat the trail. The trail beat me up pretty good, and I survived it. I don't have much else to say about it, just that it was the best experience of my life, and that tops going to Europe and Switzerland and Paris and all the hikes I did in Europe. I mean, those were beautiful, but the challenge that this hike presented to me, and the fact that I was able to overcome it and succeed in accomplishing this goal I set, is just it's one of the greatest feelings I've ever had, and I'm so happy that I got to do it. So yeah, that's the end of this little, I guess, vlog, you can call it, on Grand Canyon Bright Angel Trail. Thanks for watching.